Mike speaks. We're back after this.
I want the title. I want to be destructive and just purge the ring with blood.
Welcome back to Friday Night Fights, your boxing authority. As you heard, Brian Kenny and Max Kellerman back in the studio. We'll have an interview with Mike Tyson later on in the program. But, Teddy, you have a little news on Mike Tyson.
Yes, I've been talking to some people about that fight. I'm not sure the fight's going to happen. I think there's problems. First of all, I was talking to Steve Kim out in Vegas, who's one of the writers on the internet, and also Ron Borch, who writes for the Boston Globe. Tyson got a tattoo on his face in the last day or two, right around his right eye. You can't get hit after you get a tattoo. I mean, forget about why he got it on his face, but you can't get hit. And you go into a fight, that can open up. So that starts to make me think, why would you get a tattoo that close to a fight? Maybe it's his way of pulling out of the fight. Because let's face it, he's unstable. And he hasn't been in the gym for 3 days. All reports are, and a lot of it was reported on by Steve Kim on the internet, Ron Borges was talking about it from the Boston Globe, that he has been AWOL, MIA, from the gym, training with Freddie Roach in Vegas. If he's MIA a week from the fight, don't be so sure that fight's going to happen.
You heard Bob and Teddy talk about the reports on MaxBoxing.com, reports of Mike Tyson breaking training. We've yet to hear otherwise of Mike Tyson still being in training, but yet a week from tomorrow, Mike Tyson is at least scheduled to be back into the ring and back in Memphis to fight Cliff Etienne. Memphis, the site of his last fight against Lennox Lewis. Now, we all wonder what is left at this point of the former champion, especially now that he's been humbled so completely. Here are excerpts of a conversation that he had this week with our own Jeremy Schaap.
You have your ups and downs, you know, that's just being me. If I was just to go outside and just soak up being Mike Tyson, I would have great days every day. But, you know, I go out, you know, I sometimes have a chip on my shoulder, and I forget sometimes that I'm Mike Tyson. And people watch me, look at me, and I go to someone and say, what the f are you looking at? And I, oh, okay, I forgot. I said, no, give me a hug, let's take a picture. And I just got to cool out, man. I got to cool out. I got to cool out.
How could you have taken Lennox Lewis lightly?
I don't know. I'm stupid. Foolish, man. That's one thing I am. I'm a foolish man. I've always been foolish my whole life.
You really mean that?
Oh, no, be real honest. You know what I mean? It's a fool to take such a consummate boxer so lightly. You know what I mean? And I just deserved everything I got. You know, it really did at that time. You know, and everyone gets what they really deserve.
Well, Max, we've seen this before. You can be a soft-spoken, endearing sort of individual, but now you wonder, even with these reports coming out, whether it's true or not, or there's a hint of truth in it, or something's gone wrong in camp, that has he really broken the pattern here?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, first of all, I've always been a Mike Tyson fan. I can't help it. I grew up in New York. He's a New York fighter, most exciting heavyweight maybe ever to watch. Tyson, it's the same pattern in recent years every fight. He gets a new trainer. The new trainer, in this case, it's Freddie Roach. New trainer says, and they're all excellent trainers, Tommy Brooks, Freddie Roach. They always say the same thing. Well, I don't know what anyone else is talking about. Mike doesn't give me any problem. He showed up to the gym. Mike always says, oh, I've turned a new leaf, and I'm gonna you know, over a new page, and I'm gonna be a new fighter from now on. And he always seems to self-destruct, and he continues to decline, as you can expect, as he gets older. I know he's made millions of dollars. I know you shouldn't feel sorry for Mike Tyson, but I can't help it. To me, it looks like he just got divorced. He needs a lot of money for that. He just paid off an incredible tax debt. He's been exploited in a way, even though he's benefited from it his entire life. And none of us will stop using this guy until he's all used up.
Well, we're not using him. You're watching him. I'd like to see him fight Cliff Etienne next week. That's not being.
And maybe what Teddy said about the pressure, the fact that everyone says, ask anyone in boxing, Tyson Etienne. It's a perfect matchup for Tyson. Etienne doesn't take a great shot. He has a lot of heart. You don't have to go looking for him. He's not a big puncher, but he's an active fighter. He's perfect for Tyson. Maybe that puts more pressure on Tyson because everyone's saying Tyson should just go abuse this guy.
I know, but you know that he's a real guy. That shouldn't be more pressure on him. Anyway, a Sunday conversation. That'll be on SportsCenter 11 o'clock Eastern time. You can see the whole conversation, or a lot of the conversation, on SportsCenter 11 Eastern on Sunday.
Theraflu couldn't do it. Chicken soup, not the answer. But $5 million, hey, the magical cure. Mike Tyson, perhaps realizing that no fight means no payday, was suddenly feeling much better on Tuesday and declared his bout with Clifford Etienne back on. But wait just a minute now. The Black Rhino isn't about to let Iron Mike call the shots. Tuesday on ESPN News, Brian Kenny asked Etienne about his plans for Saturday.
Is the fight going to be back on? Can you get back in there in the ring this week?
I'm not getting in there Saturday. You know what I mean? They might find somebody else, a dead man, to get up in there with him. You know, somebody that don't pose any kind of threat to him. But I'm not getting in there Saturday.
Really? So there's no way, there's no convincing you to fight Tyson this weekend?
Didn't I just tell you that I wasn't getting in there? If I'm not getting in there, I am not getting in there.
Mike called me, told me, he said, Freddie, I'm a fighter, I want to fight. He says, I said, Mike, I said, you know, you missed some training there and so forth. I said, you feel okay? He says, yeah, I'm ready to fight, Freddie. He says, that's what I want to do. He says, you behind me? I says, we can do it, knock this guy out? He said, yep. I said, okay, I'm with you.
Boy, if this keeps up, these two could come to blows. Or I guess not. Anyway, Tyson did arrive in Memphis Tuesday night, showing off his new towel head look. And by the way, in case you're wondering what is under that towel, well, here it is. The latest in tattoo fashion, coming soon to a parlor near you. Pat, that would look good on you.
I don't think so. 1,000 needles to your face a week before a fight. Doesn't seem too logical here.
A Hollywood television producer says he's having serious negotiations with a network to do a reality show involving Mike Tyson. Now get this, the plot may involve a man training before getting into the ring for a test against Tyson. Now I don't know if the cameras are rolling, but they could have been filming that this week with all the drama surrounding the Tyson-Clifford Etienne fight. In case you haven't heard, it's on again. Al Bernstein has the latest.
Mike Tyson was in Mississippi to train on Wednesday, less than 2 days after he said he wouldn't fight Clifford Etienne. And Etienne was also back in training less than 24 hours after he said he wouldn't fight Mike Tyson.
I'm not a jump-off person. I don't run behind anybody, and I'm not a yes man. But I feel that I signed a contract, and if there was a possibility that the fight could go on, it should go on.
Mike came in very late last night on a private jet, and he's training right now, and he's looking great.
Tyson worked out privately Wednesday and didn't speak about his physical condition or the alleged flu that caused Monday's cancellation.
He doesn't appear right now to be affected by it. He appears to be recovered. He's very relaxed and in a good mood.
Had Etienne followed through with his threat to get on a plane and leave, Tyson still would have been fighting someone on Saturday.
I think we had over 30 guys who were ready to step in the ring, and at least 20 of them would have passed and would have been viable if need be.
They consider me whatever they want. I just told you that I don't care what they think or what they say or what they do. I'm doing my thing because I love myself. Now, I didn't work like this for nothing.
So Clifford Etienne will stay on as Mike Tyson's opponent in this fight, but both camps vehemently deny that any additional money is being paid to Etienne to keep him here. Well, on Thursday, we will hear from Mike Tyson as well as Etienne at a press conference where I can assure you the media will have some tough questions to ask of Mike Tyson. Also on Thursday, there will be the weigh-in where the general public will get to see what kind of shape Tyson and Etienne are in. Tyson's workout, however, on Thursday will be closed to the public. In Tunica, Mississippi, Al Bernstein for ESPN.
All right, slow your roll there, Al. You're stealing all my thunder. As Al mentioned, noon Eastern, a news conference with Mike Tyson. I'm told we'll be ready to exercise sound judgment with our editing equipment. So don't worry about it. You can have the kids watch. We'll hear from Clifford Etienne as well. Then at 6 Eastern, we'll see what he does to the scales at the weigh-in. So make sure you stick with ESPN News for that tomorrow.
On Iron Mike, what's next from the new face of heavyweight boxing? And I mean new face.
Didn't I just tell you that I wasn't getting in there? If I'm not getting in there, I am not getting in there. I mean, I don't second guess myself. I did that one time before when I was like 18 years old, and I lost 10 years of my life in prison. Why? So that's a wrap on that, man. I'm not a yes man, man. I'm not like Freddie Roach or like Shirley Finkel.
I mean, what did you expect? Really? You knew this story, this fight, Mike Tyson, his tattoo, and yes, his opponent, Clifford Etienne, wasn't going to go away. Today, Tyson worked out behind closed doors. Tyson's trainer, Freddie Roach, said Mike's mind seemed to be in the right place. He wasn't sure if Mike's body was. As for Etienne's change of heart, that $1 million payday was too much to walk away from.
I feel that I signed a contract, and if there was a possibility that the fight could go on, it should go on. They can tell me whatever they want. I just told you that I don't care what they think or what they say or what they do. I'm doing my thing because I love myself. Now, I didn't work like this for nothing.
The Etienne camp insists they were not offered more money to go ahead with this fight. Meanwhile, ESPN.com's Darren Ravel is reporting that a Hollywood producer, you know, you can't make this stuff up. A Hollywood producer says he's been having serious negotiations with a major TV network on a Tyson reality television show.
No.
Yes. Speaking of reality TV, ESPN News will bring you Tyson's live news conference tomorrow at noon Eastern.
Assessment of Mike Tyson's Wednesday workout by his trainer, Freddie Roach. Quote, his mind seemed to be in the right place. I'm just worried about his body. We'll leave that line about Tyson's mind alone, but should point out that Clifford Etienne's manager doubts Tyson ever had any flu-like symptoms. Feigned illness or not, both boxers are in Memphis preparing for Saturday's bout. So is Al Bernstein.
Mike Tyson was in Mississippi to train on Wednesday, less than 2 days after he said he wouldn't fight Clifford Etienne. And Etienne was also back in training less than 24 hours after he said he wouldn't fight Mike Tyson.
I'm not a jump off person. I don't run behind anybody, and I'm not a yes man. But I feel that I signed a contract, and if there was a possibility that the fight could go on, it should go on.
Tyson worked out privately Wednesday and didn't speak about his physical condition or the alleged flu that caused Monday's cancellation.
He doesn't appear right now to be affected by it. He appears to be recovered. He's very relaxed and in a good mood.
So Clifford Etienne will stay on as Mike Tyson's opponent in this fight, but both camps vehemently deny that any additional money is being paid to Etienne to keep him here. Well, on Thursday, we will hear from Mike Tyson as well as Etienne at a press conference where I can assure you the media will have some tough questions to ask of Mike Tyson. In Tunica, Mississippi, Al Bernstein for ESPN.
Oh, hi, everybody. I'm Brian Kenny in our ESPN newsroom. We will be going to the Mike Tyson Cliff Etienne news conference, which is taking place in Tunica, Mississippi. It was scheduled to begin at about noon Eastern time. It is a few minutes late, but we'll be joining Jeremy Schaap and Al Bernstein there as soon as it begins. The weigh-in will be tonight on ESPN News at 6 Eastern. We'll be back when the press conference begins.
The events earlier this week, Al Bernstein joins me. And Al, what kind of a Mike Tyson do you expect to see here today? Obviously, a Mike Tyson press conference can be very unpredictable. He can be volatile. He can be tranquil. What are your expectations this time?
You know, the last time he was here before his fight with Lennox Lewis, he had a press conference that was as amiable and congenial as any he's ever had, following the worst one he ever had, in which, of course, he literally got in a brawl with Lennox Lewis. I think this is a key element of this whole fight, this press conference, because he's going to face some very difficult questions. Why did you cancel this fight? Why did you and then decide you were going to come here? Why did you get a facial tattoo only 10 or 12 days before this fight? He's going to face some very tough questions, and the major players in the media are here to ask them.
Yeah, I had a chance a couple of minutes ago, actually, to speak with Freddie Roach, Mike Tyson's trainer, who told me that Mike woke up in such good spirits this morning that he decided to do his workout early today rather than in the afternoon when it had been scheduled. And after that workout, we had a brief chance to catch up with the former world heavyweight champion.
How you feeling, Mike?
Feel wonderful, my friend.
Good, brother.
A couple hours after that, Al, actually, I saw Mike in front of the Grand Casino here in Tunica. I had a chance to speak with him briefly to ask him about the tattoo that is now on his face. It is, he said, a Maori tattoo, the indigenous peoples of New Zealand. He said there's some people in his camp very unhappy that he put the tattoo on his face, unhappy with his tattoo specialist. Apparently, there is a tattoo specialist in the Tyson camp. I'm sure that comes as no surprise to you whatsoever. But Al, we are going to go back to Brian Kenny right now. We will rejoin you shortly when this press conference is underway.
All right, Jeremy, Al, thank you very much. Yeah, indeed, there are going to be some issues there. I want to find out if there's going to be a doctor looking at this. Is he going to be more prone to cuts? One would think that is definitely a possibility. Here's Mike Tyson in non-title bouts. Again, he was the youngest heavyweight champion of all time. He was a dominant heavyweight champion. He's now 36 years old. It's his first bout since being knocked out by Lennox Lewis in June of last year. By the way, Lennox Lewis has not signed for his next fight yet. So as you see Gary Shaw getting ready to speak up at the dais, you know, Lennox Lewis is standing by. There is a rematch clause in the initial contract with Mike Tyson. As incredible as that seems, there could be another fight between Tyson and Lewis, although many figure it could be some sort of mismatch. Let's go back to Tunica, Mississippi right now.
The undercard weigh-in is tomorrow and is also here at 5 p.m. Showtime will televise live at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. Central Time, and the West Coast will see this on tape delay at 10 p.m. Pacific Time. Is Brian Young here? I'd like to introduce Brian Young to say a few words. Brian is one of the principals of Prize Fight Boxing, the local promoter who accepted the rematch with Memphis based on the success of Lewis and Tyson. And Brian has been a great friend and a great help in putting this event together. I'd like to introduce Brian Young.
Oh, thank you, Gary. It's been a pleasure working on this event. Shelley and Gary, Bill Kozerski, Les Bonanno, certainly are top guys in this business. It's an honor to work with them. It's an honor to have the one and only legend, the best known boxer in the world in the history of the sport, Mike Tyson, in our presence this morning. We appreciate Clifford Etienne being here as well. It should make for a great fight. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the Grand Casino Tunica, Steve Rosen, John Lucas, Bradley Rhines, Karen Sock. They have been absolutely wonderful through this whole ordeal. And without them, we couldn't be here. They have made this event possible. One of my closest and dearest friends is Tommy Patrick, who often in this process gets overlooked. I'm a little partial, but it would be hard for me to find a better boxing commissioner anywhere in this country than the one seated right here to my right.
Second that.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks again for all of you being here this morning. I'm going to turn it back over to Gary. Gary, again, thank you for all of your help and all of your team support.
Thank you very much, Brian. I just got word that there was a slight transportation problem that has now been corrected, and Clifford Etienne and his team are on the way right now as we speak. I don't know if Bill Kozerski is here, my counterpart. Bill has done just a tremendous job, and he's the nuts and bolts of my other half, and a guy that doesn't like any of the limelight but really does a bulk of the work. So just want you to know that Bill Kozerski of Fight Night is a big part of this whole promotion. Brian alluded to Tommy Patrick from the Tennessee Commission. He was instrumental in helping us get off Lewis and Tyson, and everybody knows all the problems that we had in that fight. And Tommy's been a stand-up guy throughout. I'd like to bring up Tommy to say just a couple of words on behalf of the Tennessee Commission. Tommy Patrick.
Thank you, Gary. Brian, I appreciate those kind words. On behalf of the commission, I would just like to say that once again, we're thrilled to have fighters of the caliber of Mike Tyson and Clifford Etienne fighting in Tennessee again. When you have this caliber fight, you're at the top of the heap as far as boxing is concerned. Of course, Mike is the most well-known name in boxing, and Tennessee is certainly happy to welcome him here again.
Jeremy Schaap here in Tunica, Mississippi, joined by Al Bernstein, and we are waiting for the press conference to begin concerning the Clifford Etienne-Mike Tyson fight, which is now just about 48 hours away. No surprise here, Al. It is boxing after all, and Clifford Etienne is not here. Apparently, there are some traffic problems.
His manager, Les Bonanno, is here, and so he got here, but Clifford Etienne hasn't had a chance to do it.
What do you expect from Clifford Etienne today, Al? Obviously, most of the focus is on Mike Tyson, but Clifford Etienne became very familiar to people this week by backing out of the fight after Tyson said he was back in the fight.
You know, we talked a lot about the questions Tyson will face here, Clifford Etienne, and there's a big regional press here that knows Clifford Etienne has interacted with him in this part of the country. He's going to face some tough questions. Why did you back out when Tyson said he was going to fight? It wasn't going to fight. When he said he came back, and why did you come back into this fight? He'll face some difficult questions as well.
I have to say, Mike looks very tranquil right now. He's sitting at the dais with, I'm assuming it is his youngest son, Miguel, who was a newborn at the time of his last fight in Memphis in June of 2002. Miguel was in the locker room after the fight. No one in the media was aware that Mike had had another child at that point, but he was only a few weeks old at this point. I guess he's about 10 months old. Mike told me a few weeks ago when I was in Las Vegas at his training facility that Miguel lives with him, although the child's mother does not. But certainly Mike seems domesticated somewhat, wouldn't you say?
Well, and if there's a way to diffuse any possibility of fireworks or getting volatile, it would be to have your infant son sitting next to you. So it could actually be almost a method on their part to keep things very calm and keep things orderly.
I have to say, I thought it was very interesting, Al. Before the press conference, per se, got rolling, there was a presentation from a doctoral student at Memphis, the University of Memphis. She's working on a PhD in African history and African sociology, and she gave a brief presentation on the meaning of tattoos, in particular in African American culture. I know you've been to so many thousands of fights over the years. Have you ever heard a PhD candidate discourse on tattoos prior to a press conference before?
Like so many things associated with this fight, that was a first. And I thought that was actually fascinating that they did that. Tyson, of course, noted to you that the derivation of the tattoo he got, which I think is kind of interesting. And intriguingly, David Tua is a Maori, is he not?
David Tua, it's my understanding, is Maori. The Maoris are the indigenous people of New Zealand, probably the most famous Maori in the world. I know you are an enthusiast of singing. Kiri Takano, the great opera singer, a Maori.
Yes, a very fine vocalist who has become world-renowned, and David Tua might be second to her. Would he like that? I don't know.
I mentioned to Mike, actually, that David Tua is a Maori, and you know, there are people who have the same kinds of markings in his family, and Mike responded, I don't give in. Well,
yeah,
you
he was
imagine.
less than enthusiastic about the concept. Yeah,
it wasn't something that seemed to interest him very much. But I have to say, when I did get a chance to speak to him this morning, he seemed very placid, very much at peace with himself. Not the Tyson that we were hearing about, who was perhaps on a rant last week.
No, he is definitely at this juncture, and Freddie Roach told us today, and told me also in an interview that Tyson came here in a very good frame of mind. He said he wasn't too happy with the workout he had yesterday. I don't know how he was with today, but Freddie Roach was happy with the workout. He said, I was surprised at the level at which he was still at, given the time off.
And yesterday, Al had a chance to speak with Mike Tyson's trainer, the former middleweight contender, Freddie Roach.
Mike had a workout today, a private workout, which obviously you were at and leading. Two things. One, how did he look, and did he have any effects from the flu?
He looked better than I thought he would. He was a little disappointed in his workout, but he boxed 4 rounds, and he was throwing good combinations. I kind of like what I saw. You know, it was more like a Monday, though, where he's been off for a little bit, you know, so he kind of didn't feel that he did that well in there. But I was happy with it. And about the flu, he wasn't coughing up like he was last week or anything, so he seemed like he's maybe run his course. And he's a little bit weak towards the end of the workout, though, but we're going to box again tomorrow. Unusual this close to a fight for heavyweights, of course, but, you know, to get a little more rust off him, get his timing a little bit back, I think we need to do it. So I'm going to push for 6 rounds tomorrow, and then that'll be the end of the boxing.
Now, I was just going to ask you that next question. It's very rare for boxers this close to a match. Usually they're winding down. You're kind of trying to build up and repair a little bit. Does that, and probably you've never even been in this experience before, does it worry you that you're trying to do that this close to a fight?
It does, yeah. You know, the thing was, it's very hard to make up for lost time. You know, the thing is, I think we just needed to get his confidence and just get a little timing back, just getting punches thrown at him, you know. So basically, our last day of sparring should have been Monday. I thought maybe 2 or 3 rounds on Monday, just to shake out a little bit, and then we would just start tapering off till the fight. But now we're gonna have to box 6 rounds tomorrow, and we're gonna have we'll have 1 day off before the fight. So, but this is what we need to do to get him ready, because he missed a crucial week. We had 5 good weeks under our belt, though. We did. Mike was training very well. I mean, we were pushing real hard. We were training hard. We were doing 10 rounds a day in the mitts. Like last day we were doing the mitts, he started throwing up in the 10th round. It was going so hard. I was pushing him hard, and then after he finished throwing up, I said, Mike, let's finish a round. And he looked at me kind of hard, but he gave me it. He finished a round, you know. The thing was, he was pushing it. He was working hard. he told me he hasn't worked this hard since Customata days, and he was, you know, I believe him because we're really going well, and he's a very good student actually when he wants to listen. But then, you know, starting with the tattoo, then the cold and stuff like this, things started just going a little crazy. So, I mean, I saw the best of Mike Tyson for 5 good weeks, and then I saw probably the worst of him for a week, 5 or 6 days. But he seems great today. He's positive right now. His mind's in a good place, and I think, well, we're here to do the best we can.
Great soundbite. You said at a couple points that you probably would have advised him actually not to come down here. Was there ever a moment in your mind when you thought of not coming even after he suggested it to you?
If I didn't hear the right things from Mike, I wouldn't have came. The thing, Mike asked me about the fight. I told him, Mike, I don't think you should take the fight. Being your friend and being your trainer, I don't think you should take this fight not being 100%, because a loss to Clifford Etienne is devastating to your career. And he said, Freddie, I'm a fighter. This is what I want to do. I want to fight. I want to fight. So I said, Mike, what are we going to do when we go down there? He says, we're going to knock this guy out. So he's very positive. And I like to hear that. If it wasn't for that positive assurance coming from Mike, I wouldn't be here right now. The thing is, he wants to fight. He says he's a fighter, and I was a fighter too, so I know what he means. He wants to fight, and he's going to come here to win. So I believe he'll do that. You know, the thing is, he's not going to be at 100%, though. I don't know how close we'll get to that. But definitely not, you know, just coming off the flu and missing those 5 days is going to be crucial for us. But the thing is, he's here to do the best he can. Yeah.
I really don't have too much to say. That it's going to be a great evening Saturday night. And I just wish the best to Mike and to Clifford. And may the best man win. And God bless both of them and no one gets hurt. Thank you and God bless.
Bye-bye.
Clifford Etienne has now arrived here in Tunica, Mississippi for the press conference, previewing his fight against Mike Tyson. And now we send it back up to the dais. Clifford Etienne and Mike Tyson, the fight Saturday night in Memphis.
Les Bonanno.
I want to thank the Grand Casino, Steve Rosen and his staff. It's been a difficult time, but everybody was hanging in like soldiers, looking for a great event. Brian Young and his staff has been more than qualified to handle an event of this magnitude, and I can't say enough thank yous to them for everything that they've done for us. Shelley and Gary and everybody has just been a tremendous team to work with for this kind of event. And I think the public is going to be really electrified at a great fight. I'd now like to introduce Clifford Etienne.
How y'all doing? Well, I don't have too much to say, you know, but I thank y'all for coming out, taking y'all time. I look forward to a good fight, a good night. I'd like to thank Mike for finally showing up. Showtime and everybody else. Thank my promoter, thank my trainers, Buddy McGirt and J.C. Davis. Just come out on Saturday night, man. See a good fight.
Thank you, Clifford. I'd like to bring up at this time, or you could talk from there, Shelley Finkel, the advisor to Mike Tyson.
Hi. As everyone knows, it's been a long road to get here. Clifford said he's glad Mike showed up. I hope he feels the same way on Sunday. Thank you.
Let Mike say a few words, and then we'll open up for questions. Mike?
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy Cliff came, and I'm just, you know, I don't say bad things, you know, Muslims, so you're not going to hear, you know, bad word fight, but you see me do my thing in the ring. Jeremy Schapp, how you doing? I'll be over there after this is done. Thank you.
Okay, we have John Beirути is right here. We have a handheld mic. We're going to do it one at a time. We're going to just take a few questions. We're going to try to do this as quickly as we can. Please make your questions short as we can. Go ahead. Put your hands up and we'll get your questions. Please identify yourself.
Tim Smith, New York Daily News. Mike,
Just the significance of the tattoo, why you decided to get it so close to the fight, and what does it mean?
It's been planned for 2 years. I planned on doing something different. So I spoke with this great tattoo artist, Victor Paradox from Las Vegas, and I asked him, I want a tattoo on my face, and he said, let me think about it. And he came up probably a year ago, and he said, I'm looking at some New Zealand tattoos, but see me in a year, because I got to make sure. And I was planning on another one. I told him my idea, and I'm so happy I didn't use my idea. And it didn't hurt that bad, and I don't know, I fought with just getting tattoos before a day, before a fight. It's just, I don't know, this tattoo hurt less than any other one I had, so what the hell I care about tattoos. And excuse me? It's a Mayan, a New Zealand tattoo. I just wanted to put something on my face. I didn't like the way my face was looking. I just put something on it.
Any other questions?
Jamie Tucker with WREG in Memphis. Mike, who is the young lady with you? I guess that's a young lady, the baby. Tell us.
Can you say that again?
Tell us about the baby that you have with you.
This is my boy. Yeah, I want him to be a fighter, so I'm just getting him accustomed to what's going on. You don't need to know his name. You don't need to worry how to know. Yes, one day when he's older, you'll see him in the ring.
He'll be paying, Mike.
Mike, Janice Broach with the NBC affiliate in Memphis. Could you tell us about your illness, the flu, or what was the problem that you had?
I don't have a problem now, and that's basically the concern that everybody was worried about. I'm just ready to fight. Think about what I'm going to buy me with all the cash I get. I know a lot of people don't think that's funny, but I do.
Mike, George Willis, New York Post. What was your idea for the tattoo?
Hey, man, I'm here to fight a person in here, man. Let's do more on talking about the fight. Tattoos, that's personal, man. Guys, stay out of my personal. You guys know everything. You know I've been in prison for real. You know everything about me. I just got a tattoo. There's 100 people, billions of people outside with tattoos on their face. I got a tattoo, and I'm not finished. I had to stop because people were complaining. So when I get finished, then you talk about my tattoo. And this is nothing. This is not even halfway done.
Just to talk about the fight, taking a week off, being sick from the flu or whatever, taking a week off from training, how do you think that's going to affect you on Saturday night, just trying to gear back up? And
I don't think it's going to bother me. I've taken months off before and fought fighters. I don't really think about box today. I feel well. I feel real good about fighting. I'm looking forward to fighting. I don't know what else to tell you. Sure, I know how to fight. I just got to go in there and fight. I'm not bad about a week. Listen, if you're not ready, if you take 2 weeks off from a fight, and you have been training for 5 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, if you take 2 weeks off and you're not ready after 2 weeks of all that training, then you shouldn't fight. After 2 weeks of taking off, Some guys don't even spar. The whole time just train every day. Train, then go in there and fight a 20-rounder and go the distance. It's, what you want to do. I want to fight.
Clifford, could you talk a little bit about how you went through the last few days of on again, off again, and how it's affected you and how you're feeling about it now?
What do you want to know? About what?
Just
about
the last few days of when it's off and on and off and on, about how you've come through this the last few days.
I come through it because I want to fight. That's it. I'm going to fight. That's plain and simple, man. I'm a fighter. I'm not a businessman. Well, I am a businessman, but I'm not the kind that, work 9 to 5, I work my ass off, man, like two months in a row. That's the longest time I ever been in training camp. And I was itching. I was itching to get in training camp even before I went. So I'm looking forward to going on and doing my thing, man. That's it, plain and simple, plain and simple.
Clifford, I know you're not angry about the on again, off again with the fight because you don't get angry, but has it messed with your head any?
That's over with.
Nah, man. We fighting. If y'all want to talk about the fight, let's talk about the fight. If you don't want to talk about the fight and want to talk about this and that, I don't want to do no talking, man. You can bring me back to my hotel right now.
Talk about the fight.
Any other questions about the fight? Over here. Can I get a mic over here, please?
Sir?
Mike Kersley of the Chicago Tribune. Mike, how do you see this fight starting, and do you have any predictions about how this fight's going to go?
Well, listen, I know, seen him fight a couple times. I'm sure he's seen me fight a few times as well. And I know what he's going to do. I know he moves, he comes to fight, and I'm just prepared. We're ready. You know, this is just, this press conference is just a formality. I'm just ready. Knockout.
Okay, on behalf of Team Tyson and Team Etienne, I want to thank everybody for coming. We'll do some one-on-ones over here. Clifford, you want to do some one-on-ones? We'll do some one-on-ones over here. If you want, why don't we do the print over here first? Print towards Mike. Any other media?
Oh, Brian back here in the studio. Brian Kenny back here in our ESPN News studios. And, yeah, once again, we'll wait for the tough questions. Tyson and Etienne really not entertaining any tough questions. The weigh-in will be this evening, 6 Eastern time. You can see it on ESPN News. Mike Tyson saying he didn't like the way his face was looking. He wanted to put something on it. Tyson also mentioned that he was coming over to speak to Jeremy Schaap. Well, good. We'd love to hear from Mike Tyson and maybe put some actual questions to him and try to get some answers. Tyson says he's ready. Of course, he said that before Lennox Lewis, and after the fight said he really wasn't ready. We're going to take a short break here. We'll come back here and get more from Tyson and Etienne when we return. Tyson says he's ready. Jeremy, right after he said, oh, he wasn't ready for Lennox Lewis, but now he's ready for this guy, even though he hasn't been training. Cliff Etienne says he's ready to fight, and that's all we have to know about, even though he was adamant that he was not going to be showing up for this fight this weekend. They didn't answer anything yet. What do you take from this, and what are you going to ask these guys?
Well, you know, it's business as usual, obviously, Brian. We're talking about boxing here. You have to be a psychologist as well as a journalist in many instances. And, of course, Al Bernstein has covered thousands of these kinds of press conferences. Al, your critique of this one, what do you make of it?
Well, you know, I think there were several very revealing things about this press conference, more from the Etienne side even than the Tyson side. Buddy McGirt said virtually nothing. He got up and said, we're just happy to be here, thank you. Trainers don't usually say that. Clifford Etienne, who I thought looked much like Michael Grant did before he fought Lennox Lewis. I think
that's not a good look.
No, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's very intimidated by Mike Tyson and intimidated by this scene. I thought that his clipped responses to the people and the fact that he didn't even look in Mike Tyson's direction tells me that maybe this situation has gotten to him, and so has Tyson.
Etienne, body language, Al saying, indicates that he is, in fact, intimidated by both Tyson and by the situation.
And I seldom say that before fights. I only said it one time before. That was the Michael Grant situation.
And you were certainly right about that one. Lennox Lewis absolutely obliterating Michael Grant at Madison Square Garden 3 years ago. As for Mike Tyson's demeanor,
well, Mike Tyson, I thought it was actually very clever of him to bring his young son here, who one journalist almost got him angry at by misidentifying him as a young lady. But that's neither here nor there. You don't want to do that. Bringing him, I thought, helped diffuse this situation. But even with that, what we saw was Mike Tyson being just a little petulant, you know, not too much, but wanting people just to talk about the fight. The problem with that is when they did ask about the fight, he didn't really reveal too much information about what he has planned.
I have to say it was strange hearing Mike identify himself as a Muslim because, of course, he converted when he was in jail, released from jail now almost 8 years ago, and I hadn't heard him refer to himself recently as a practicing Muslim. I don't know if he really meant it or it was a rhetorical flourish. We were making tabloid history here, though, Brian. Obviously, you didn't get a chance to see it. Our camera didn't pan to the second level of the dais, but Tanya Harding was here as well. I mean, there's a lot of excitement here in Tunica with Tanya Harding fighting as well on Saturday night in Memphis. But as far as Tyson is concerned, do you agree with what he said, that you could train hard for a fight for 8 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks, and take 2 weeks off and be perfectly prepared?
No, especially not if you're sick. But for this fight, they feel prepared because Clifford Etienne is a gentleman who has a very tough time taking punches. Kendo knocked him out, who's a very fine boxer, but is not a puncher. That's an indication. So in this case, he may be right, but in most cases, no. A week off or 10 days off with the flu as part of that scenario does not help. And it's very odd for a fighter to be sparring 2 days before a fight. The last 2 days he sparred, today he sparred 6 rounds. You almost never see a heavyweight fighter or any fighter in a major championship match or a major fight do that 2 days before a fight.
Certainly the last time we saw Mike Tyson, his skills had deteriorated significantly when he fought Lennox Lewis here almost 7 months ago. We'll send it right back now to Brian Kenny.
All right, Jeremy, Al, thank you very much. We're going to take a short break here. Cliff Etienne will be joining us in just a few moments. And again, some real questions for Cliff Etienne. Again, a guy who was signed to fight and then said he didn't want to fight. What changed his mind? Why did he get back in there? He was getting paid nearly $1 million to get back in there, but he did change his mind in midweek. We'll be back to Tunica, Mississippi right after this.
For the biggest name in hip-hop and the biggest name in boxing. Back-to-back, live, Jay-Z in concert. Then, the return of Mike Tyson. 2 explosive events, 1 incredible night. Saturday, February 22nd at 9, 8 Central, live on Showtime.
Part of Showtime Unlimited, added for $12 or less per month.
Brian Kenny back here in our ESPN studios, and we're ready to talk to Cliff Etienne, a solid heavyweight, by the way. Al Bernstein mentioned that he was knocked out by Kendo. He's knocked down 7 times in that fight, but he does have solid wins over quality heavyweights like Lawrence Claybay and Layman Brewster. Let's go back to Tunica, Mississippi. Jeremy Schaap is standing by with Clifford Etienne. Jeremy?
Thank you, Brian. As you mentioned, Clifford Etienne, a very distinguished heavyweight. He's only been fighting professionally, though, for about the last 6 years since being released from prison, where he spent 10 years in prison. Clifford, everybody wants to know, you said you weren't going to fight. You said this fight was definitely off. Why did you change your mind? Why are you now fighting Mike Tyson on Saturday?
Because I was obligated, you know, to myself. I have a word. You know, I was in a place where if you don't have your word or respect, you don't have nothing. You know, and anybody could say that if I tell them I'm going to do something, they could go on and book it. You know, and I said I was going to fight. I signed a contract to fight. So if it was possible, I was supposed to fight.
You also said, though, that you weren't going to fight, and certainly no one could have blamed you at that point for backing out after Mike Tyson canceled the fight and then decided to fight.
No, nobody could blame me for anything. I mean, I can't see anybody blaming me for anything. They wasn't with me 2 months running, getting up in the morning, running, passing pain barriers that nobody passed on their own, you know. So I went through a lot of stuff, man, to get ready to prepare for the fight.
Is this the first time you've been with Mike Tyson in his presence?
No, it's not the first time.
When else have you been around him?
A few other times. First time I remember when I lost to Kendo, and I was training in Big Bear, and I was training right before Mike, and Mike came in and said, man, Rhino, he said, put that behind you, man. Don't even think that. Don't let that get to you, you know. I said, what? He said, I lost to Kendo. I said, man, Mike, we both have been places where a fight loss, don't mean nothing, man. You understand? So I'm cool.
This is the biggest fight of your career, certainly against the most accomplished opponent you've ever fought. What's it like today, getting up there on the dais, greeting the media, being on national television, and looking down just a few feet away and seeing one of those feared heavyweights in the history of boxing?
It's like nothing, you know. I done got myself prepared, mentally prepared to fight and physically prepared to fight. I'm not thinking about what anybody done in the history and all this other stuff. I'm not worried about tattoos and all that other stuff people ask me about. That's them. Let them do their thing, and I'm going to do mine.
This situation isn't intimidating in any way?
Intimidating. Look, let me tell you something. I'm tip-proof. How you going to intimidate me, man? I done been near death a lot of times. I done been in death-defying situations plenty of times, more times than anybody done been in. So what I'm supposed to be scared of? Only thing I fear is God. What you going to do to me?
Have you ever fought anyone as tough as Mike Tyson before?
Nah, I doubt it. I doubt it, but I don't know how tough he is.
Anyone who punches as hard?
I don't know. I don't know how punch. I don't know how hard he punches.
Watched him a lot.
Yeah, but watching somebody is two different things than being in there with him.
Clifford, thank you very much for joining us. Clifford Etienne, back to you, Brian.
All right, Jeremy, thank you very much. Jeremy, I have a quick question for you before we step away. Any examination of Mike Tyson and the tattoos in regards to possible cutting during the fight?
Well, you mean an official examination on the part of doctors here?
Correct.
I'm unaware at this point whether that is going to occur. Obviously, there will be a pre-fight physical, that's standard procedure. There will be a weigh-in later this afternoon, but I can't tell you if we, in fact, have a tattoo specialist on hand.
You guys saw it closely there. Is there any chance you think that could be a problem, Al?
Well, you know, I've said all along that I think it's a concern. Freddie Roach thought it was a concern. He told me that in the interview I did with him. And I believe that, you know, it can scab up. I still think that's an issue. I believe it's a serious issue.
If he gets hit.
If he gets hit there, yeah.
It's a good possibility with Etienne at some point.
Could happen.
Hey, guys, thank you very much. Al Bernstein and Jeremy Schaap in Tunica, Mississippi. Again, they're going to be down there all day working on this story. And again, we hope to have Mike Tyson later in the afternoon. If we get it for you, we'll have it for you on the afternoon edition of ESPN News. The weigh-in at 6 Eastern Time. I'm Brian Kenny. We'll step away right now, but we'll see you later in the afternoon. Well, back here on the afternoon edition of ESPN News, I'm Brian Kenny. And look who dropped in for a visit. My good friend, Max Kellerman. Hello, Max.
Hello, Brian. You know what they say? Be good to the people on the way up, because you're going to see the same people on the way down.
You're going to see me tomorrow as well. I know you want to talk about Tim Austin, Rafael Marquez, Roy Jones Jr. versus John Ruiz, but you know, Max, people are Tyson crazed. What did you make of that whole thing today?
You know, Tyson comes off saying, look, let's not talk about my personal life. Everyone already knows so much about my personal life. You know, I went to prison. Let's just focus on stuff in the ring. However, when you get a tattoo on your face a week before a fight, and then you originally postpone or pull out of the fight, your personal life becomes mixed with your professional life. And so I think the tattoo questions are fair game. And I thought Tyson did a reasonably good job of answering the questions about the tattoo.
Now, you've seen more Cliff Etienne fights than anybody else, really, besides, you know, Etienne and his people. And yet Al Bernstein was there. I mean, we know Etienne's a quality guy, decent, you know, fighter. Al Bernstein was there in Tunica, and he said Etienne really kind of looked petrified. And he did. He looked a little overwhelmed by the moment. Is that going to matter in the ring, or can that matter to a guy at this level?
It could easily. You know what's so interesting about this? Here's Cliff Etienne. Did 10 years in prison. It's not a little skid bit. I mean, this guy with 10 years of a decade in prison. He gets punched in the face and punches other men in the face for a living. He's been knocked out on the floor 6 or 7 times against Frezekendo. He was dropped against Franz Botha. I mean, he's fought really good heavyweights. He's already been knocked out. And yet, yes, I'm getting the sense that there is a sort of, if not fear, kind of overwhelmed feeling from Etienne. Isn't that interesting that that Mike Tyson, even having been knocked out and having lost and not being the fighter he once was, can maybe intimidate an ex-con who's been in with top heavyweights and had already been knocked out? What does Etienne really think can happen to him?
Now, see, I get the sense that even from a lot of people that cover boxing, oh, Etienne, glass jaw, this and that. He beat Lawrence Claybay, Max. Claybay, last time we saw him, looked excellent. What does that say? Shouldn't Etienne be able to beat Tyson straight up?
No, I don't think so. Stylistically, here Etienne, well, everyone knows and everyone in boxing knows. I'll tell the mainstream man right now what Etienne does well. God, Brian, don't you know this? Cliff Etienne throws a million punches around. He's what we call in boxing a volume puncher. He overwhelms you with the volume, the number of the punches that he throws in every round, like he did to Lawrence Claybay, as he did to Lawrence Claybay. But he does not hit hard with any one of those punches. He's not a really, really soft hitter, but certainly not a knockout guy with either hand. So, at Mike Tyson's age, he doesn't have to worry about getting knocked out. The fact that, by an Etienne, unless he really wears down, the fact that Etienne comes right at you and throws all those punches gives Tyson counter-punching opportunities. What else? What's the real weakness in Etienne's game? His chin. He doesn't take a great punch, and yet he seems to have a ton of heart. Thus far, he's shown a great fighter's heart. So, he's going to be there for Tyson to hit. Tyson's not going to have to worry about getting hurt with any one punch. Once Etienne does get hit, you can expect him to be hurt, and his heart will keep him coming at Tyson all that time. He seems on paper like the perfect Tyson opponent.
You know, the amazing thing is that, by the way, mainstream man, you're talking college basketball, which astounds me, so don't go mainstream man on me. Hey, you know,
they got to me, all right? They got to me too, Brian.
I did. You sold as soon as you could. Hey, Lennox Lewis hasn't signed for another fight yet. He was supposed to be fighting Vitaly Klitschko, but he hasn't signed. It's amazing to me that somebody out there thinks people will pay to see Lewis Tyson again. What are your thoughts on a possibility of a rematch? We haven't seen anything different from Tyson since he lost that fight.
Mike Tyson's survival instincts in terms of the boxing marketplace are uncanny. Nothing short of that. He loses to, okay, he's knocked out by Buster Douglas. He goes on a winning streak. Then he goes to prison. He comes out of prison. Is he still the baddest man on the planet? Well, he destroys Bruno. He destroys Selden. He runs into Holyfield. He's knocked out. But people say, well, he wasn't really, Holyfield looked so bad against Ches. Tyson wasn't prepared for Holyfield. So now Tyson gets prepared. He's about to get knocked out again in that fight. What happens? He bites off Holyfield's ear. So there's still a large portion of the boxing public that says, no, Tyson's still the baddest man on the planet.
Yeah, but they know now, ear bite. Max, they know now. We saw it against Lewis. He had every opportunity to train, get in shape. And yet now,
even then, people say, well, Tyson didn't look himself. That wasn't Tyson fully prepared. And you know what? I think, and I hate to say this because I grew up a Tyson fan coming out of New York and the way he revitalized boxing, but you know what Tyson can say now if he loses to a guy who on paper, as I said, looks perfect for him? Now Tyson has built-in excuses. He can say, I had a tattoo around my eye. It bled as soon as it got hit. Everyone knows I had the flu. He doesn't have to say this. This has been so publicized. Tyson had the flu. He has a tattoo around his eye. Even if he loses now, he remains marketable because of those built-in excuses. I just think he has an uncanny survival instinct in terms of the way he continues to be marketable. Although, we have seen the purses decline. What's he getting for this fight? $5 million?
Yeah.
When was the last time Tyson made only $5 million for a fight?
Quickly, Max.
Well, here's the real reason Clifford Etienne changed his mind after calling off the bout earlier this week in Memphis. The New York Daily News reports Tiffany Etienne told her husband that he'd be sleeping on the sofa if he didn't come back home with a $900,000 paycheck. And now you know the rest of the story. Following today's pre-fight news conference seen right here, live on ESPN News, the Black Rhino shared some final thoughts with Jeremy Schaff.
Clifford, everybody wants to know, you said you weren't going to fight. You said this fight was definitely off. Why did you change your mind? Why are you now fighting Mike Tyson on Saturday?
Because I was obligated, you know, to myself. I have a word. You know, I was in a place where if you don't have your word or respect, you don't have nothing. You know, and anybody could say that if I tell them I'm going to do something, they can go on and book it. You know, and I said I was going to fight. I signed a contract to fight. So if it was possible, I was supposed to fight.
You also said, though, that you weren't going to fight. And certainly no one could have blamed you at that point for backing out after Mike Tyson canceled the fight and then decided to fight.
No. Nobody could blame me for anything. I mean, I can't see anybody blame me for anything. They wasn't with me 2 months running, getting up in the morning, running, passing pain barriers that nobody passed on their own, you know. So I went through a lot of stuff, man, to get ready and prepare for the fight.
Is this the first time you've been with Mike Tyson in his presence?
No, it's not the first time.
When else have you been around him?
A few other times. First time I remember when I lost to Aquendo, and I was training in Big Bear, and I was training right before Mike, and Mike came in and said, man, Rhino, he said, put that behind you, man. Don't even think that. Don't let that get to you, you know. I said, what? He said, I lost to Aquendo. I said, man, Mike, we both have been places where a fight loss, don't mean nothing, man. You understand? So I'm cool.
This is the biggest fight of your career, certainly against the most accomplished opponent you've ever fought. What's it like today, getting up there on the dais, greeting the media, being on national television and looking down just a few feet away and seeing one of those feared heavyweights in the history of boxing?
It's like nothing, you know. I done got myself prepared, mentally prepared to fight and physically prepared to fight. I'm not thinking about what anybody done in the history and all this other stuff. I'm not worried about tattoos and all that other stuff people ask me about. That's them. Let them do their thing, and I'm going to do mine.
The situation isn't intimidating in any way?
Intimidating. Look, let me tell you something. I'm tip-proof. How you going to intimidate me, man? I done been near death a lot of times. I done been in death-defying situations plenty of times, more times than anybody done been in. So what I'm supposed to be scared of? Only thing I fear is God. What you going to do to me?
Have you ever fought anyone as tough as Mike Tyson before?
Nah, I doubt it. But I don't know how tough he is.
Anyone who punches as hard?
I don't know. I don't know how punch. I don't know how hard he punches.
Watched him a lot.
Yeah, but watching somebody is two different things than being in there with him.
Clifford, thank you very much for joining us.
Meanwhile, coming off the plane Tuesday night upon his late arrival in Memphis, Mike Tyson looked more like Michael Jackson with his face covered by a towel and a hood over his head. But wait, turns out that wasn't Tyson after all. Nevertheless, Iron Mike doesn't understand why there's so much attention focused on that new tattoo near his left eye, especially as he explains there's still more to come.
It's a Mayan, a New Zealand tattoo. I just wanted to put something on my face. I didn't like the way my face was looking. I just put something on it, and it didn't hurt that bad. And I don't know. I fought with just getting tattoos before a day, before a fight. It's just, I I don't know. You know, this tattoo hurt less than any other one I had, so what the hell I care about tattoos? And
Plenty more from Mike Tyson and Clifford Etienne coming up at the top of the hour as ESPN News brings you live coverage of the weigh-in from Tunica, Mississippi, heading into Saturday's heavyweight bout in Memphis, Tennessee. Al Bernstein joins us, as does Jeremy Schaap, live 6 Eastern right here on ESPN News.
Oh, Mike Tyson, first bout since being knocked out by Lennox Lewis, the heavyweight champ, in June of last year. There's Tyson arriving in Tunica, Mississippi for the weigh-in. We have that weigh-in for you. We will have it for you live right after the top of the hour, 6 Eastern, just moments away here on ESPN News. Let's go live to Tunica, Mississippi. The weigh-in, Mike Tyson and Cliff Etienne, right on time. Let's go to Jeremy Schaap and Al Bernstein in Tunica.
239 against Brian Nielsen a year and a half ago when he fought him in Copenhagen. Clifford Etienne, on the other hand, has always weighed somewhere between 224, 235, pretty much in most of his fights, except very early in his career, about 6 years ago, when he would weigh sometimes in the upper 240s. But clearly that's not what we're going to get from him at this point. We're going to see Clifford Etienne, who is significantly trimmer than that, and probably somewhere around 225 pounds.
Yeah, he was 224 against France, both in the last fight in which he had a draw. His biggest win against Lawrence Klebe, he was 220.
And now we'll go up to the scales, and promoter Gary Shaw, who will introduce the fighters.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Gary Shaw. Welcome to the weigh-in, the heavyweight weigh-in between Mike Tyson and Clifford Etienne this Saturday at the Pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee. At the scales, Billy Lyons, the head of the Mississippi Commission, weighing first Mike Tyson. Tom Patrick from the Tennessee Commission is doing the weighing. What's the weight? The weight, 225 3/4. Mike Tyson, 225 3/4. Next up, Clifford Etienne.
Rouge, Louisiana. Just shy of the stage here. It appears that he is waiting to approach the stage and the scales, waiting for Mike Tyson's entourage to kind of vacate the area. Mike Tyson weighing in at 225 pounds. And now Clifford Etienne, the Black Rhino from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He is coming up to the scales. We'll see in a moment where he weighs in, 225 pounds for Mike Tyson. Apparently he's in very good shape, because that is significantly less than what he has weighed in each of his last 2 fights against Brian Nielsen and against Lennox Lewis. There were rumors last week that Mike, when he broke training and missed training for 4 straight days, had put on a significant amount of weight. People were saying that he put on 20 pounds in a matter of days. Clearly, that is not the case. He is in very good shape. Al Bernstein, how does Mike look to you?
Well, they were shooting for the mid-220s. That's what they got, and that looks good.
And Mike Tyson is joining us now over here.
He's talking to me.
We'll wait just a moment as Clifford Etienne weighs in.
Hey, brother,
No, this is the right.
Thank you.
Oh,
you ready?
be on 222 3/4. 222 3/4. This Saturday night, the Pyramid, the fight is on.
So the weigh-in is complete. Clifford Etienne weighing in at 222 3/4 pounds. Mike Tyson at 225. You appear to be very trim right now. Are you happy with your conditioning?
You know, I'm a heavyweight. My condition, I'm happy, but, you know, your weight really doesn't matter. I guess it proved I worked hard and I was diligent on it, but we were heavyweights. Weight doesn't matter, how much we weigh.
Clifford Etienne, on the other hand, showed up a few minutes late for this proceeding. You seem to be a little agitated by that. Is that a sign of disrespect he was coming late for this?
No, because I'm always late. You know, and I'm not disrespectful. Just it happens sometime, but I'm just ready to fight, you know.
We had a chance to talk about this earlier, Mike, but most people haven't heard your comments regarding the tattoo, which they can now see clearly. Again, why the tattoo? Why at this time put that on your face?
I wanted a tattoo, and you know, if I want something, I do what I want to do. You know what I mean? If it's not breaking the law, I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm always showing respect for law enforcement. I just want to do what I want to do. That's okay. You know, that's all I want to do.
Do you have any concerns about it affecting you in the ring?
No. No.
Bleeding, nothing like that?
No. And if it does, I'll deal with it.
You have a lot of other tattoos. There's an Arthur Ashe tattoo, I know. You have a Mao Zedong tattoo.
I have everywhere. I have tattoos where I can't show, of course. I have tattoos everywhere, yeah.
Does this tattoo mean anything?
I'm just want to hide my face, brother.
Why do you want to hide your face?
I don't know, for people like your cohorts and they won't attack. Maybe they won't know who the hell I am or something. I don't know. I just wanted to get a tattoo for 2 years on my face, and we're finished to complete the whole situation probably after the fight or next year. He wants to complete it. We just using our imagination and just doing what we want to do. You know, it's just art.
A few days ago, you said you wouldn't be able to fight Saturday because you were feeling sick. How are you feeling now?
I feel pretty well now. Looking forward to fighting.
Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Mike Tyson.
That speaks volumes right there, what Mike Tyson had to say at the end as he broke training, got back into training. And again, by all accounts, from either Jeff Fennick or Freddie Roach, his trainers, the guys in the camp, and Freddie Roach is his main trainer now, said Tyson was having a very good camp before it all unraveled and came apart. Again, Mike Tyson coming in. Now, that's right within his range, 225 3/4. Cliff Etienne, as Al Bernstein mentioned, came in 220 against Lawrence Claybay, and that was a good win against Claybay, and he's now 222 3/4. Tyson, though, does have a good point. Weight doesn't tell you the whole story. Broke training, but he's back, and we've got heavyweights in the ring on Saturday night, one way or another.
Back to that Tyson-Etienne fight, Brian, I thought it was interesting that even though Mike Tyson is 3 inches shorter than Clifford Etienne, his reach is 4 inches longer than the 6'2" Etienne. Interesting.
Yeah, you measure reach this way, and really it should be measured from here to the end of your fist and that sort of thing. And the size, you know what, I think the big thing that comes down to is Etienne going to be overwhelmed by the moment. And It was funny. Michael Kim, thank you very much. Al Bernstein was mentioning before that he'd seen Michael Grant have that look of fear before he fought Lennox Lewis. I was there with Al Bernstein at that point, and he's right. You can be overwhelmed by the moment. If you're not relaxed, you're dead meat in there. That's Saturday night, Etienne versus Tyson. We saw the weigh-in. We'll have much more on ESPN News throughout the afternoon and throughout the evening when we come. All right, hi, everybody. Home stretch here on the afternoon edition of ESPN News. I'm Brian Kenny. We will be going back to Tunica, Mississippi, and talk to Al Bernstein and Jeremy Schaap. This is right after the weigh-in for Cliff Etienne and Mike Tyson. Tyson in pretty decent shape weight-wise, 225 3/4, as you may have seen earlier here on ESPN News.
The real reason Clifford Etienne changed his mind after following Mike Tyson's lead and taking his turn calling off the bout in Memphis for Saturday. The New York Daily News reports Tiffany Etienne told her husband that he'd be sleeping on the sofa if he didn't come back home with a $900,000 paycheck. And now you know the rest of the story. Following today's weigh-in, seen right here on ESPN News, the Black Rhino shared some final thoughts with Jeremy Schaap.
Clifford Etienne joins me now, weighs in at 222 pounds, 2 pounds lighter than your last fight against Franz Botha. How would you describe your conditioning?
Oh, it's excellent. Excellent condition. I had a wonderful camp. I'm on the bright side right now. All this time, it was just ring the bell, man.
Now, you said that you were not going to fight Mike Tyson earlier in the week after he initially pulled out of the fight. Why did you change your mind?
Didn't you ask me that question before?
I did, but this is a different audience.
Oh, all right, okay. Well, I heard y'all say on ESPN I changed my mind because my wife said I better not come on behind it without the check, which was wrong. You know, I make my own decisions, you know, and money is not an issue with me at all, you know. My thing is that I chose to fight the fight. I signed to fight the fight. And contractually, I met all my obligations. I came down and I was ready to fight, and he didn't show up and he called the fight off. And he gonna push the button and call it back on. I wasn't gonna fight, but I changed my mind. I figured I owed it to the people in Memphis, around the South, and everybody in the nation that that really wanted to see the fight, and myself.
Now, Monday night, Clifford, after the fight had been called off, it seemed it wasn't going to happen. Your promoter, Les Bonanno, told me that you went out and, you know, had a few drinks, broke training. You didn't expect a fight. What did you do Monday night?
I ain't do nothing. Les Bonanno could say what he want to say, you know what I'm saying? If you ain't with me, you don't know. I'm ready to fight, man. I'm ready to fight.
Well, by now you've seen the video. Mike Tyson looking more like Michael Jackson with his face covered by a towel and a hood over his head upon his arrival in Memphis Tuesday night. But wait, turns out that wasn't Tyson after all. Nevertheless, Iron Mike doesn't understand why there's so much attention focused on that new tattoo near his left eye, especially as he explains there's still more to come.
It's a Mayan, a New Zealand tattoo. I just wanted to put something on my face. I didn't like the way my face was looking. I used to put something on it. And it didn't hurt that bad. And I don't know. I fought with just getting tattoos before a day, before a fight. It's just, I don't know. You know, this tattoo hurt less than any other one I had. So what the hell I care about tattoos? And
here is a look at the tail of the tape. Mike Tyson, 6 years older than Clifford Etienne from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He's 3 pounds heavier, but 3 inches shorter. And also, Tyson has a 4-inch advantage in terms of reach. The other advantage in favor of Tyson is that he's been through this circus before. And for Clifford Etienne, his inexperience has already showed in a couple of examples, including that interview with Jeremy Schaap. But he's in for a rude awakening, perhaps, inside the ring at the Pyramids Saturday night in Memphis. And it was interesting to hear, Brian, that Clifford Etienne saying that it was his decision and money was not a factor. And, of course, Tiffany Etienne giving us the no-spin reasons behind.
No, you see, your anger's coming out just because he shot down your story. And you're mad at him now. Just because he said he made his decision. You want to say, yeah, my wife makes all the decisions for me.
You and I both know
that the decision was made by his wife. Yes,
exactly.
Okay, indeed. All right, Michael, you got me there. All right, coming up here, we have much more NBA news coming up here, including the trading deadline might not have been the real deadline. There might be more. Coming up next, though, we'll talk more about Mike Tyson and Cliff Etienne and who's getting the better of the moment. We'll go back. Jeremy Schaap and Al Bernstein are in Tunica. We'll talk Tyson when we come back on ESPN News. Again, the weigh-in here on ESPN News, as you may have seen earlier, Mike Tyson, 225 3/4. Again, it's pretty good weight, but he was having a fairly decent camp before everything went haywire. Cliff Etienne coming in at 222 3/4. Jeremy Schaap has had a very interesting day in Tunica, Mississippi. Let's go back there right now. Jeremy?
Brian, it is a world turned upside down. Mike Tyson shows up early, not only to his press conference, but 15 minutes early to his weigh-in. Entirely unprecedented. Clifford Etienne weighing in at 222 3/4. Mike Tyson, as you said, at 225 3/4. And joining me now, Al Bernstein. Al, what do you glean from these fighters' relative weights?
Well, if weight was the only issue, both camps would be very, very happy right now because Clifford Etienne and his people are happy that he's 222. He was 224 against Franz Both in his last fight. In his biggest victory against Lawrence Klebe, he was 220. So this is right in the wheelhouse of where they want to be. And for Mike Tyson, his people were shooting for the mid-220s, an indication that despite the last week in which he didn't train, and God knows what he did for the last week.
well, he said what he did.
Yeah, he told us. Do lap dancers take off weight or put them on? I don't know.
Sure.
Anyway, 222, 225 and a half seems okay for him.
After he got off the scale, Mike came over and we spoke to him for a moment about his conditioning.
Your weight really doesn't matter. I guess it proved I worked hard and I was diligent on it, but we were heavyweights. Weight doesn't matter, how much we weigh.
Clifford Etienne, on the other hand, showed up a few minutes late for this proceeding. You seem to be a little agitated by that. Is that a sign of disrespect, his coming late for this?
No, because I'm always late. And I'm not disrespectful. Just it happens sometime. But I'm just ready to fight,
We had a chance to talk about this earlier, Mike, but most people haven't heard your comments regarding the tattoo, which they can now see clearly. Again, why the tattoo? Why at this time put that on your face?
I wanted a tattoo. And, if I want something, I do what I want to do. You know what I mean? If it's not breaking the law, I'm not, I'm always showing respect for law enforcement. I just want to do what I want to do. That's okay, that's all I want to do.
Do you have any concerns about it affecting you in the ring?
No. No.
Bleeding, nothing like that?
No. And if it does, I'll deal with it.
You have a lot of other tattoos. There's an Arthur Ashe tattoo. A week ago, Mike Tyson was a prohibitive favorite in this fight at 7-1 odds. Al Bernstein tells me now it's down to 4-1. What does that signify, Al?
Well, it certainly signified the fact that everybody knew he had physical problems of some sort, and that's why he originally canceled this fight and then put it back on. But now, with this weigh-in and people seeing that he's a fairly fit 225 pounds, the odds may change again with some of the money, late money, coming in on Mike Tyson.
Hey, Al, I have a question for you. I was there with you. I know you were talking earlier about Michael Grant, Lennox Lewis. I was there with you, and we both saw, wow, that guy looks frightened. Now, Etienne has been 10 years in jail. He's fought some very good heavyweights, and yet he seems to be a little stiffened up and overwhelmed by the moment. You've seen him all day now. Your reaction to how he looks today, and will he be ready to be relaxed in the ring?
I'm sure, they don't want to hear this, and he will deny it. But I do believe the moment has gotten to him a little bit. And let me hasten to point out that doesn't mean I think he cannot win this fight, but I do think it'll make getting through those early rounds a little more difficult for him. I think this has just been a surprising turn of events for him. He's had to deal with things he does not normally have to deal with, and he's got Mike Tyson over there. And I think the combination of the two has made him kind of tight.
And some pressure, of course, from his wife as well, Brian, it appears.
Hey, my wife told me to stay down here, so, they rule.
I know why.
You guys have done too many live shots. You're getting goofy. But the pressure almost can devour anyone, guys. Again, Al, it almost devoured Tyson. What is he saying about that? Now, I know he's not really talking too much about that, but he seemed to have, something snapped in him about 10 days ago, maybe 7 days ago. How does he appear now? How was his workout this morning with Freddie Roach?
Well, I'll tell you what, whatever happened before, that was then, this is now. He's been very relaxed in talking with Jeremy here. He's been relaxed at all these events. He's had a full day. He had a workout earlier today, which Freddie Roach told me was much better than he thought it would be. He had the press conference at which he handled himself well. He said this weigh-in, which astonishingly he was early for and had no problems. So whatever the case was 10 days ago or 4 days ago or 5 days ago, this Mike Tyson looks like he came here to do business.
Guys, either one of you, can he be too docile? Again, there was a lot of talk in Memphis that, he was medicated for that fight. What's his state of medication now, and will it matter in this?
When I spoke to him a couple weeks ago in Las Vegas, he denied, Brian, that he was taking any medication whatsoever. Clearly, though, there is a question. He has appeared so tranquil, so serene, it naturally raises that question. But whenever that question is posed, his camp denies that he is taking any meds whatsoever.
Okay, no Zolofts or anything like that, you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, that's it. When he's tranquil, when he's giving you a shout-out at the press conference and then showing up for an interview. Jeremy, Al, good work. Good talking to you guys.
All right.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, in Tunica, Mississippi, Al Bernstein and Jeremy Schaap.
That's for the reason behind Clifford Etienne's yes-I'll-fight moment. You don't have to look very far. Etienne's wife, Tiffany, told the Black Rhino he'd be sleeping on the sofa if he didn't climb into the ring against Mike Tyson and earn his $900,000 payday. So Saturday's fight at the Pyramid in Memphis is back on. Today, both fighters hit the scales for the final weigh-in. When Etienne was asked if he's going to key in on the tattoo on Tyson's left cheek, he said, quote, "I'll try to hit everything." Here's what both fighters had to say to our Jeremy Schaap.
Because I was obligated, to myself. I have a word. I was in a place where if you don't have your word or respect, you don't have nothing. And anybody could say that if I tell them I'm going to do something, they can go it on and book it. And I said I was going to fight. I signed a contract to fight. So if it was possible, I was supposed to fight.
I wanted a tattoo. I wanted it for 2 years. I wanted the tattoo. I was going to do it. If I won the Lennox fight, I was going to do my face. But I said, well, the hell, I'm going to do my face anyway.
you have any concerns about how it might be affected getting hit perhaps on Saturday night?
I'm not worried about that. It feels good. It's healed already. And even if it did get, nothing's going to happen. It's going to be one-hit person. I'm going to hit him back.
All right, log on and participate in our little program. Dial up ESPN News and vote. What do you think will be the outcome of the Mike Tyson-Clifford Etienne fight? Tyson wins, Etienne wins, ends in a disqualification, or the fight just doesn't happen. Log on to ESPNnews.com, keyword ESPN News, and vote. We'll share the results with you later on in the program.
Mike Tyson and Clifford Etienne, a.k.a. the Black Rhino, inch closer to their Saturday showdown. There's Mike. The weigh-in, nothing really happened. Mike came in at 225 3/4. Etienne came in at 222 3/4 pounds.
The weight.
Mike talking about his tattoo.
I'm here to fight a person in here, man. You know, let's do more on talking about the fight. Tattoos, that's personal, man. Guys, stay out of my personal. You guys know everything. You know I've been in prison for real. You know everything about me. I just got a tattoo. You know, man, there's 100 people, billions of people outside with tattoos on their face. I got a tattoo, and I'm not finished. I had to stop because people were complaining. So when I get finished, then you talk about my tattoo. And this is nothing. This is not even halfway done.
No children were harmed in the making of that press conference. That was Mike's son, by the way. A writer thought it was Mike's daughter. That didn't make Mike happy.
No.
And, of course, the first time I saw the child, I thought of Lennox Lewis, but Lennox doesn't have children, so Mike couldn't eat his children. For the second fight in a row, Tyson weighs in significantly lower than his previous bout. Tyson is only 4 pounds heavier than he was in 1986 when he beat Trevor Berbick for the WBC heavyweight title. Had made Mike Tyson a 7-1 favorite for his fight with Clifford Etienne, a.k.a. the Black Rhino, this Saturday night, meaning you had to bet $700 to win $100. Those odds dropped to 4-1 after Tyson missed a week's worth of workouts with that mystery illness and then reappearing with a tattoo on the side of his face. Well, the most surprising thing about today's weigh-in, nothing happened. Tyson came in at 225 3/4. Etienne, the Black Rhino, at 222 3/4 pounds. Mike's new tattoo apparently on the minds of everybody except Mike. Mike?
I'm here to fight a person in here, man. You know, let's do more on talking about the fight. Tattoos, that's personal, man. Guys, stay out of my personal. You guys know everything. You know I've been in prison for real. You know everything about me. I just got a tattoo. You know, man, there's 100 people, billions of people outside with tattoos on their face. I got a tattoo, and I'm not finished. I had to stop because people were complaining. So when I get finished, then you talk about my tattoo. And this is nothing. This is not even halfway done.
No children were harmed in the making of that press conference, by the way. That was Mike's son. Tyson's one win shy of passing Hall of Famer Rocky Marciano, one win away from tying Hall of Famer Sonny Liston on the all-time heavyweight wins list. Tyson currently has 49 wins, 43 KOs, just like Marciano. Will win Saturday, and Tyson will match Liston with identical 50-4 career records.
You're not going to hear, bad word fight, but you see me do my thing in the ring. Jeremy Schaap, how you doing? I'll be over there after this is done.
As expected, plenty of microphones thrown in front of Tyson today. He spoke with Jeremy Schaap. Later, Mike unplugged.
Mike Tyson held a news conference this afternoon. Perhaps you watched it live on ESPN and ESPN News. Jeremy Schaap was there for the entertainment, and it was an atmosphere that was very, well, un-Tyson-like. You know, nobody fighting, nobody cursing, nobody shouting. Words were spoken by Iron Mike on being a dad, on his world-famous tattoo, and also a hobby he has that, I'll be honest, I'd rather not visualize.
One day I went out one day because, sometimes you train, you just went crazy and bored, and I went to a strip club and I gave some dancer a lap dance, but
you gave her a lap dance.
Yeah, that's just what I do. I like to do what I want to do. I wanted to tattoo my face. I didn't like the way it looked. I just wanted to change it.
You didn't like the way your face looked? You're just kidding around, right?
No, I'm saying I wanted to change it. That was the fact I wanted to change it. I just like to change. I wanted to change my face. Everyone has hang-ups about something. I guess they make hang-ups about something. I have tattoos where I can't show, of course. I have tattoos everywhere.
Mike, who is the young lady with you? I guess that's a young lady, the baby. Tell us.
Say that again?
Tell us about the baby that you have with you.
My boy. Yeah, I want him to be a fighter, so I'm just getting him accustomed to what's going on. God, man, I want my son to hang out too. I want to hang out with my son too. I never have a chance to hang out because none of the time I don't get along with their mothers that well, and I guess that's the power they got. Because my stupid self think these people love me, which I made a mistake, but that's okay. I got my baby. I would love to hang out with all of them, but, you know, unfortunately, they think mother thinks she knows best most of the time. I guess they think they're going to sell the papers, make me look like a fool, a monster, a pugnacious thug, or whatever I am. I think I am, or consider me to be. Say something.
Miguel, do you have a comment?
He's the only guy that knows your name.
For the biggest name in boxing, in a fight you don't want to miss. It's the return of Mike Tyson, back to take on Clifford Etienne. And before the fight, it's Jay-Z live. Call 1-888-SHOWTIME to get the concert, the fight, and $50 cash back when you subscribe to Showtime now. 2 explosive events, 1 incredible night. This weekend, live on Showtime.
This much we know. The top story this week, Mike Tyson broke camp last week. His new trainer, Freddie Roach, left camp. Former world champion Jeff Fenech, who was in camp with him, left camp disgusted. The fight was called off on Monday. On Wednesday, reportedly after some financial pressure, Tyson was back in and ready to go. On Wednesday, Cliff Etienne told me point blank, no question, he was out. He was not fighting on Saturday. On Thursday, reportedly after some contractual pressure, Etienne said upon further review, he could make it after all. All yesterday and today, Al Bernstein and Jeremy Schaap have been following this story. Let's get the latest right now from Tunica, Mississippi and Memphis, Tennessee.
Even by Mike Tyson's standards, the lead up to his fight with Clifford Etienne has been bizarre. And one of the major components of that is the facial tattoo that he got.
All right, obviously, we're sorry about that. We lost the tape. We had a problem with the tape.
One of the best things about being in Vegas in a couple days is we get to hang out with Al Bernstein, one of the all-time greats.
Well, let's talk about some of the issues here in this fight. And we're going to be talking about this later on Friday Night Fights as well. First of all, the tattoo, which the Tyson camp said, look, not an issue. It won't change anything. You got to believe, Max, it's got to change something. It very well can be an issue here.
Yeah, Freddie Roach was talking about in that piece how if it cuts, it's the kind of an abrasion cut, not a gash. Well, yeah, it'll start out as an abrasion, but guess what it's going to turn into? It's going to turn into a gash. And Freddie Roach, of all people, should know about those sorts of things, the kind of fighter that he was.
Also, in that report, you didn't get to see this, and again, we apologize for that, but Al Bernstein did report, we saw the tape just before it went on the air, that there was sparring for Mike Tyson today, reportedly. What does that tell you?
Oh, that's a move of desperation. I mean, that tells you that he was sparring in the not-too-distant past, and his timing was so off, Freddie decided, I got to get someone else in here. We got to do something about this. That's a real move of desperation, and it's like a signal that something's really wrong.
And even though flu or no flu, one way or another, he broke camp and did not train, by and large, for a week in a pivotal moment of his training.
Reports coming out of Tyson's training camp, or coming out about a week ago, were that Jeff Fenech, the great three-division champ Jeff Fenech, left camp disgusted with Tyson, and he's a big Tyson supporter, and he wants to help Mike, but disgusted with the fact that Tyson was not in condition. The conditioning was not put in. And Freddie Roach and Jeff Fenech were two fighters whose whole career was based on outworking the opponent. And I don't mean in the ring, which was certainly true, but in conditioning. They conditioned themselves. They put the work in the gym so that they'd be able to outwork their opponent once they got in the ring. And that's what Jeff Fenech expected from Tyson, bolted when he wasn't getting it from Tyson. You imagine if Tyson just had the flu, he wouldn't be so disgusted with Tyson that he'd leave. That tells me that it's a spurious claim that he had the flu in the first place.
Yeah, they're going to say, oh, you got the flu, we won't be associated with you. No, if you get sick, you get sick. Now, meantime, Cliff Etienne, again, said during the week, no, I'm not fighting this weekend. And he cited, a loss of adrenaline, that letdown that you get, oh, the fight is off. Kind of understandable, slightly understandable. But if that's the case, if he was that deflated, what does that say about his fighting shape this weekend?
You just don't get it, do you, Brian? No, absolutely it's understandable. Look, Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti, remember the 10th round? Ward's corner told him, McGirt was with Gatti. Ward's corner told him, hey, the fight's over. Gatti's quitting. And Ward celebrates like he won the fight. And then what happened? The wind went out of his sails. He found out he had to fight Gatti another round. Gatti won the round easily. Of course, if you find out that you're not going to be fighting, there's a complete deflation, a psychological letdown. And I don't blame Etienne one bit for wanting to pull out of the fight.
And remember, later we're going to be talking about Juan Valenzuela. He gets the fight on 3 days' notice. He seemed to be okay. You can be okay with that sort of thing.
You look better than okay.
Time for toe-to-toe. We have 3 minutes, one round to mix it up. And this week, we're going to be, of course, talking about the heavyweight event this weekend.
There's a heavyweight event this weekend?
Bob Papa and Teddy Atlas are in Miami, standing by and ready to go. And Max, again, this week, you do have Tyson, Etienne, which was, you know, we were talking about it, but now everybody is excited about it. So let's set the clock. We have 1 round, 3 minutes. Teddy, we got to start with you. Give me your best shot after what you've seen this week with Mike Tyson this time.
Well, first of all, 2 things. You don't go and get a tattoo. Forget about all the other speculation. You just don't get a tattoo a week before a fight when you get in the ring and get punched in the face. That makes you raw. It makes it sensitive. You don't do something. Look, Pavarotti, the great opera singer, if he's about to go into the Metropolitan Opera House, a week before that, what does he do? Go yodeling in the Alps? Does he go to a Bear football game and start going, let's go Bears? No, he doesn't do that. Not if he wants to sing in the Opera House.
Max,
if Tyson wanted to fight, why does he go and get a tattoo?
These mute buttons come in handy, I tell you. You're in rare form. Go. Teddy's absolutely right. But, Teddy, I think there's... if not a method to the madness, at least instincts to the madness. Mike Tyson is always able to salvage his reputation as a viable heavyweight contender by having a built-in excuse, a well-known built-in excuse publicized by the media. Should he lose this fight on cuts? Come on, he just got the tattoo. Should he be out-hustled late? Come on, I had the flu before the fight. Built-in excuses to lose, and that keeps the fans coming back thinking maybe he can recapture past glory.
Let's get Bob Papa in on this. Bob, we hear the same things. Tyson there at the press conference saying, you see what I do, you know what I do. Yeah, break training. Bob?
I mean, this is just crazy. You know, I agree with everything Max just said. I mean, Mike Tyson, who has not beaten a viable person in about 12 years, continues to reinvent himself, and we in the media and the boxing fans continue to just flock to this thing. He breaks training. His timing's now off. He's got all the built-in excuses, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets disqualified.
Well, we'd be paying attention to it anyway, but mainstream suddenly goes berserk because this is really what they want. Right. They want the freak show, Michael Jackson, Mike Tyson reality shows. There it is.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy by the mainstream media. You will only ever hear boxing covered when there's bad news. So then the mainstream boxing fan goes, oh, boxing's only giving us bad news. That's because it's the only time anyone will pay attention. But I like, Bob, that's exactly right. Or maybe, Brian, you actually brought it up. Look at how Tyson, the pattern with Tyson. Every time he's been through Brooks, Parks, Shields. Now it's Freddie Roach. And every time it's the same thing. He's not giving me any trouble. He looks excellent in camp. It's a new Mike Tyson. But it's the same old Tyson, and it's an older and older Tyson. And that's why we continue declining.
Teddy, now you look at this. Is this a guy that doesn't want to fight, but he is getting in there anyway?
Well, he has no choice. I believe that it's the people around him that have reminded him. I mean, there's been stories that his accountant, of all people, more important than a cut man, an accountant, a little bit more important than a cut man in this case, he came up to Tyson and he told him, hey, listen, you don't have to fight, but you'll be out of this house by the end of the week. I believe it's the other people around him. Despite what's good for Tyson, it's good for them. They need to get him in the ring. And I think those are the threats. Those are the things that have really moved Tyson to suddenly get back in the ring.
And I feel sorry for Mike Tyson, Teddy, because no matter what he does, even if he started from square one right now, no financial problems or anything, the way he spends money and with a declining purses, he's only getting $5 million for this fight. I don't see a way that Tyson doesn't wind up broke.
All right, time. First bout since being knocked out by Lennox Lewis in June of last year. Let's go to the tail of the tape. Presented by Miller Lite, and once again, the weigh-ins, it's hard to tell. Even Tyson said, yeah, you can't tell by the weight, because he was in reasonably good shape and having a reasonably good camp under Freddie Roach as well. So he comes in looking at a pretty good weight. Hey, we haven't talked about Cliff Etienne. What type of shot does Etienne have, being that he's got to win over Lawrence Claybay and Layman Brewster, Max?
Get out of the first couple of rounds. I mean, it's the old Mike Tyson's punch-out strategy if you played the video game. Get out of the first couple of rounds with Tyson. He has a shot if Tyson's not in good cardiovascular shape, which is a real possibility. Etienne is a volume puncher, throws a million punches around, has a lot of heart, doesn't take a great shot, but again, if he gets out of the early rounds, with Tyson's tattoo, he could cut him, he could out-hustle him down the stretch.
I have to admit, I'm influenced by the way he has acted, and usually that shouldn't play a part as what happens in the ring. Etienne doesn't look comfortable in the moment.
Yeah, he does look a little bit intimidated, which is funny. Why would Etienne be intimidated with all he's been through so far in his life and career? One thing you got to say about Mike Tyson is, unlike Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali towards the end of their careers, you ever seen Mike Tyson in shape where you said, I understand sometimes he looks better than others. Do you ever see him and say, oh, he's just fat and out of shape? I've never seen him come into a fight like that.
He's a physical phenomenon, though, Max.
He is a physical phenomenon, but looking at him even there, he looks physically intimidating.
But, you know, he probably had a very good camp for about 4 or 5 weeks, but then it exploded. And if he is sparring this week, what does that say? I mean, there's a lack of professionalism here.
No question, and that's why Jeff Fenech left camp, because Fenech's whole career was he was training Tyson, helping out. It was based on outworking his opponent in training camp, beating him on conditioning. Same thing with Freddie Roach. They must have been disgusted that the guy wasn't there a week out from the fight.
Make a quick pick.
Tyson early round knockout.
That's it. All right. Yeah, I'll go with Mike Tyson, too. But don't be shocked. The people who are watching the show wouldn't be shocked if Etienne has a good showing in there. Among the things to be brought out before tonight's quote-unquote Mike Tyson fight is that the opponent, Cliff Etienne, is a quality top 25 heavyweight. Etienne has wins over Lawrence Claybay and Layman Brewster, 2 top 20 heavyweights, fighters near the same level of Tyson opponents, better known name guys, but Andrew Galata and Lou Savarese. He also comes off a draw against Franz Botha, who was giving Tyson some problems 4 years ago before he got knocked out with 1 shot. Both fighters broke camp before this bout, but after a bizarre week, the bout is still on. Let's get the latest from Jeremy Schaap in Memphis.
In the beginning, there was a fight. Then Mike Tyson pulled out, and there was no fight. Then Tyson said he changed his mind, and there was a fight. Then Clifford Etienne said no thank you, and there was no fight. Now it appears there is, once again, a fight. Thanks reportedly to Mrs. Etienne, who advised her husband to collect what will be the largest purse of his career to date. In the sad saga that's been the career of Mike Tyson, this constitutes essentially business as usual.
I don't have a problem now, and that's basically the concern that everybody was worried about. I'm just ready to fight.
Why did you change your mind? Why did you decide to come here and fight after having canceled the fight?
I don't know. I guess I wasn't as sick as I thought I was, you know, and why not?
How sick were you?
Just had, I don't know, bronchitis. I had bronchitis many a times. And, you know, I'm born with it, and it comes and it goes, but it never affected me.
There were reports, Mike, that you were out partying in Vegas. Is that, in fact, the case?
This is not true. This is not true at all. One day I went out one day because, you know, sometimes you train, you just went cradle and board, and I went to a strip club and I gave some dancer a lap dance. But
you gave her a lap dance?
Yeah, that's just what I do. I like to do what I want to do, you know?
Joined now by Al Bernstein. And Al, as for Clifford Etienne's camp, his trainer, Buddy McGirt, says they are coming out with guns blazing. Do you believe Buddy McGirt?
It is hard to believe. He also suggested in his conversation with you that they weren't even concerned about taking this fight into the later rounds. He anticipated a fight that would end early and have a lot of fireworks. I think if that is the case, it doesn't really serve Clifford Etienne, because Mike Tyson wants to end this fight early. He's the guy that missed a week of training. He's the guy who uses his power so effectively early in fights. I think that benefits Tyson.
Tyson actually considered sparring on Friday. Highly unusual. The day before the fight, he's been sparring all week. What does that tell you about his state of mind?
Well, it's really amazing. You know, they had to catch up for that week of training they lost, and they've been really in a mad rush to do that. For somebody to fly in a sparring partner and hope to spar the day before a fight is literally unprecedented. And I think it shows us a couple of things. One, Tyson and his trainer, Freddie Roach, very concerned about his conditioning for this fight. And number two, it shows that he is not taking Clifford Etienne lightly. He's not overconfident about this fight.
This fight has been billed as back to business for Mike Tyson. Perhaps more honest billing would be broken promises. For Al Bernstein, I'm Jeremy Schaap.
Well, Mike Tyson, according to sources in his own camp, was said to be having a very good training camp under new trainer Freddie Roach. That was, though, until he broke camp in some fashion, missed over a week of training at the most crucial point, and was said to be sparring again up until yesterday, a sign that his timing might still be lost. There's that, the possibility of a cut from the tattoo. Is Tyson medicated in any way? Is Cliff Etienne too deflated after thinking the fight was canceled? Interest in the fight rising with the amount of issues. Inquiring minds now want to know. Let's go to Memphis, and Jeremy Schaap and Al Bernstein can break it down.
Clifford Etienne, Mike Tyson coming up tonight at the Pyramid in Memphis, and Al Bernstein joins me now. Al, Mike Tyson has been extremely inactive the last few years. How is he going to shake the rust off tonight?
Seems we're always talking about his inactivity. In the last 14 months, Tyson has fought only 13 full rounds and parts of 2 others. And at the same time, Clifford Etienne has had 29 rounds in 4 matches, and his last 2 went the distance. So clearly, a longer fight benefits Etienne. He'd love to be able to take this fight into the 5th, 6th, or 7th round, where he thinks he'll be facing a tiring Tyson.
If Clifford Etienne is to win this fight tonight, how will he do it?
You know, early on, he's got to get Tyson's respect, land something significant, but he cannot engage in a firefight with Tyson. That would be playing right into Mike Tyson's hands. And for Tyson, he needs to put pressure on Etienne right from the get-go. He has to think of this as a 3-round fight and go after him.
They said they'd never get together, but it looks like it is, in fact, going to happen. For Al Bernstein, I'm Jeremy Schaap in Memphis, Tennessee.
Actually, they said it would never get together. Tyson and Etienne, we
said it would never happen.
We expected it to happen, and then they both said, no, it's not happening, and now they're both back.
Rama.
Isn't that great? Jeff Lacey on the undercard. Sure to watch that one. And we'll have round-by-round scoring of the main event, Tyson and Etienne, for however long it will go, and post-fight coverage and much more from Al and Jeremy in Memphis. That's tonight right here on ESPN News.